Got money on my mind, I swear I'm gonna win, even if it kills me. I got money on my mind, the only way I'm gonna rest is if these motherfuckers kill me. I got money on my mind.
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing another POV test drive, as we like to call it, and we're going to be doing it on the Bmw E46. As you guys know, we've fully restored this car, doing the CCV, the Vanos seals, we had the exhaust done the spark plugs, we've done nearly everything this car's ever needed to be done to make this car drive perfectly, the water pump, thermostat, and as you see here, I did wash this one as well when I did my E60, and it's fully shiny. This one does have the badge on it as well, and we're going to be taking this one out on a test drive just so I can show you guys what this car actually drives like. Now, as you'll be aware, this is now my missus' car, and as I said, this car drives completely different to the way the E60, the N52 engine does. This one uses the M54 engine. It's a full M Sport E46. This is not your average piece of crap that a lot of the US get as well and try and call it a sport. This is an actual M Sport car, as you'll see by the bumpers. It's not one of your fancy dress ones with a front bumper and that's it. It's got the rear diffuser, it's got the M Sport steering wheel, as you'll see right there as well. It's got everything M Sport, even the Harman Kardon system, the lot. You know, this has got the whole kit. So we're going to be taking this car out, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how this car performs compared to my E60. Now, like I said, these use two different kind of setups. The E60 uses the Valvetronic, this one just uses the Vanos system itself. Now, that in mind, this car is still quick for what it is. Remember, this is 228 bhp, so there is still a lot. Mine is 30 bhp more, but these perform a lot different. Like I say, this one's very silent and idle. It feels like the car's not even running. The 60 on the other hand, because of the Vanos solenoids, ain't always that way. But as I said to you, my 60 is actually perfect because we've done the Vanos solenoids on mine, and I've done the update, and my idle is very good, and it stays there, and you can't even feel it running. The same as like this car is, the way any BMW should be. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you out for a test drive on it, and I'm going to show you how it performs. Now, as you'll see, I just want you to see inside here. You know, this is the condition of the car, which is in really good condition, and we did condition all the seats as well. You know, it's now got DAB radio with Bluetooth. We've got to take that Bluetooth system out of here because it's invalid and keeps connected to my phone, which ain't needed. This one's the new Bluetooth system with DAB and Bluetooth audio. You know, the mileage is 154,000 miles. It's got no lights on. Look at it just sitting there, bang on, you know, 600 RPM, not moving. You know, idle's perfect. The car is just absolutely perfect all round. And that's for why it's got the shark fin. This is not some fancy stuck on thing from 03 here on the E46s. They come with Bluetooth, so that was what the shark fin's for. You know, it's got the Harman Kardon system. It is a really nice car all in, and I'm going to show you guys how it performs, and we're going to go out for a test drive in it and see what it feels like. So as you'll see guys, we're now just going for a drive, and as you'll see, these cars are completely different, the M54 and the E60. They both pick up their powers in different ways. Obviously, as you know, the M52 has a Valvetronic system. This one doesn't. But this one is a more smoother engine to drive than the E60. And it's got that nice growl. I personally prefer this engine over the M52. But that being said, this car doesn't make as much power as the M52. Now, the M52, on the other hand, is a very solid engine. And like I say, for the right owner, it's a good engine. But this car is good for people who don't want to spend too much money, who want a nice car, and it's not expensive on parts. Now, that being said, I gave this to my missus, but if you've got a man who's a basically retard and can't fix the car, I wouldn't advise giving this to your woman. And if you can't fix these cars yourself, then stay away from all BMWs. As you guys know, we did the Vanos seals on these. Now, these cars do have a different setup. Like, as you guys know, we use the clutch fan on these, which connects to the water pump. You know, BMW designed that to cool the engine instead of using the electric fan. A lot of guys say it don't work in the US and things like that, and they take it off, but trust me, it does work. I have had many 39s with the electric fan not working at all, and it was only thanks to that fan itself that kept my car cool. Now, as you guys know, on E39, it's a common problem that pulse width modulated fan gives up, which is computer controlled, and is a common problem, and the aircon don't work. But if it wasn't for that fan, my aircon wouldn't have worked in any of the E39s I had. So that just goes to show it does do its job, and that's why we don't suffer with no problems here like a lot of people do in the US, because we don't go removing parts that are put there for a reason. They wasn't put there to restrict emissions or restrict power. They're there for a reason. It's not a bloody sensor. That is the whole point of it, to stop the car overheating. Now many people are hell-bent by that and think it don't do nothing. Now that all being said, this car is a really nice car to drive. The steering is a lot more stiffer. You feel more planted to the road than you do on the E60. That's because the E60's got hydro steering, Servotronic steering, and this one's got power steering. There's a difference. And then that being said, the E60's a lot lighter, which when you throw it around the corner you feel like you're going to go out. Not so much being said on my one, but on this one particularly, it feels planted to the road regardless. And even with the traction control off, it still is a nice car to drive. You don't suffer with the same problems as the M52 engine, which is like if the water pump goes, it leaves you stranded in limp mode. With this, you can probably fix it at the side of the road. Secondly, it's cheap for the water pump and the thermostat on this. It's about £50 to buy them both, and very easy to do. On the E60 on the other hand, it's about £400 to buy it with the new hose. The U-shaped hose that goes to the thermostat and the water pump. There's a lot of differences, i.e. the Vanos solenoids. They're like £300 just for two. This doesn't have problems with the Vanos solenoid. You just change the Vanos seals and that's it. And the car gets its power back. Now this has never been done, but I did do it. We did the CCV, we done the valve cover, the Vanos seals. We've done everything to this car. You know, and when I bought it, the guy said to me nothing was wrong with this car. Every part I removed was original BMW, but as I said, a lot of people in London only use original dealer parts. That is one thing I do know. In London, a lot of people are only hell-bent on buying dealer parts only and nothing else. They won't use OEM. That is just how it is in London. So now what we're gonna do, guys, I'm gonna show you how fast this car goes, like now the Vanos seals have been done, and how much power it picks up. So we're gonna shift it over to Sport, and now as you see, we're just gonna tick. And as you see there, the Vanos kicks in and advances the time properly. And as you'll know, this is a 228 bhp car, where most of, like I said, the M52 is 258, but it's still powerful for what it is. As you see here, it sticks to the road like glue. You know, the steering is spot on. As I said, there isn't many E46s, the same as I said about my E60, in this country that have had this much work done. These cars do require a lot of maintenance. You've got to bear in mind, most of them are going to be on high mileage. You'll be finding it very hard to even find it. And the lowest mileage you'll probably find it on is 80k, which then is due for everything anywhere at 100. So you're going to have to do all this. These E46s need all this done to make them drive perfect and to run properly, which this one now does. And like I say, you know, it's my missus' car. She loves it. She didn't even like the E46 at the start. She doesn't like saloon cars, but I made her like it. Just driving it, she loves it, and now she wouldn't regret it. You know, it's more reliable than the E60, hence why I gave it to her. It's more cheaper. As you guys know, women have a way with cars, they like to break them. Who knows why? It's just the way it is. And like I said, I gave this to her because it's cheap to run, cheap to maintain, and like I say, if anything goes wrong, we can easily fix it for cheap, not like the M52. Like you guys know, I took the car to have the exhaust bolts done because the exhaust was blowing. Common problem, they rust on the downpipe, on the flange. We had them done, come back, the coolant reservoir had a split straight down there. I had to replace that, and it just drained the coolant out on the driveway. It's normal for these cars. Obviously I renewed the whole cooling system, but I didn't renew that. It put pressure on it. Perfectly normal. You know, this car drives absolutely beautiful. Like I say, they're both different engines. The M54 is a nice engine, yes indeed, and is practical for anybody. Like I said, if you want to give it to your wife, if you want to use it as a daily because it's cheap to maintain. M52 on the other hand requires you to have the software. You need to know how to use the software running that car, and the same for this one. Like, this has been updated as well, so that completely changed the whole car. But like I said, the software is a big factor with these cars. Providing you've got the software, these cars are not hard to maintain, but the E60 is really hard to maintain without the software, and it's expensive on parts. It's not for your average person to go and get them and drive them. They're very complicated cars. You've seen what I'm going for on the 545 diesel. I finally solved the problem with that on the central electronics failure. But that's what I mean, there's a lot of different factors with it. E60 is a very complicated car. It used about 25 different modules, the same as on the E90. You know, there's common problems on them. They're not well built as this, not well, like the handling is great on this car. You've got to put that into perspective as well. These cars are great cars, the M54 engine, and still is. You know, I don't hate it, I don't hate the engine. So is the M57, the diesel engine, a very good engine. You know, providing they're looked after, all BMW engines are very reliable and strong. That being said, I wouldn't say the 4 cylinders are reliable, they're very unreliable. You have to get a 6 cylinder if you want it to drive like this. Like this idle is so smooth, you don't even feel it. You know, these engines, like I said, are cheap to maintain, reliable, they're not gonna let you down. If a part does fail you on the highway or on the motorway or wherever, it's very easy to change providing you've got tools in your boot. And if you take the fan off, everything's just there, ready to access. It's a very, very easy car. And like I say, it's cheaper than the M52, and anyone looking to buy a disc between the E60, if your cars are not your strong point, I'd recommend you getting an M54 engine. You can get this engine in the E60, but it's very, very rare to get that. If you can't get it in the E60, I would advise you to stay with the E46 or the E39 for the reason being, it's cheap to maintain. You're gonna get no issues, you're gonna get no problems. You know, it's gonna be reliable, you'll be able to afford the parts cheaply. The amount you're gonna spend on a water pump and thermostat on an E60 and the M52, you can overhaul this whole car. That's how much it costs me just to overhaul this whole car's engine. It doesn't make sense to spend that money. For me, it does, because I'm doing it all myself. And even if you are doing it yourself, does it make sense for you to go and spend another 400? You can pick these cars up cheaply, and they're still more reliable and solid than an E60. A E60 has more problems, and it always has problems. Every week there's something to address. And it's the same with any BMW, but like I say, these are very cheap. These are solid cars, you know, they still drive nice, they still fit in. Well, this one does because it's M Sport, you know, it still gets looks everywhere, you know. But if it's not M Sport, you don't even look at it, you know. You've seen probably, I don't know if you've seen any on the road, nobody even cares about them if they're not M Sport. Everyone looks at this guy, it's an M Sport one. It's very rare that you see them in this condition, you know, and that's why I feel privileged to drive it around. You know, I wouldn't drive a lot of the junk that the US get, and that's what I tried explaining to Nathan as well. If I had that there, I wouldn't be interested in BMW if we just had them models there. I'm only interested in BMW for this model, precisely the M Sport model. That's it. It looks nice, it looks fancy, it looks flashy. It gets looked at everywhere, you know, and no, not many cars get that, you know. And like I'm saying to you, this car, just look at the handling. The way it just turns around the corner with ease. You know, this an E39, my missus got in it, she's like, why is the steering so heavy? And I tried to explain to her, these cars were built in an era when BMW cared about their cars. They didn't care about spending cheap to try and make more money. They cared about quality of their builds and quality of their engineering. Now they don't give a crap about that. They started slacking on the E60, and that showed. They started trying to progress again on the F10s to try and bring themselves back up because the Mercedes was taking all their business. But as I said, the majority of this car is bang on. It drives perfect. Like I say, I got lucky. Wipers were done on it when I bought it. You know, most of the stuff was already done on this car, you know, from the guy that owned it. And that's what you get because it was bought in London. Most people do look after their cars, they've got the money. So, you know, it all goes in together, it goes really well. Like I say, I've just overhauled what needed to be done, which I knew people wouldn't do because it's quite expensive at a garage. But this car drives faultless, and like I say, I can't fault it. It's powerful when you need it to be. It's cheap to maintain, cheap to insure, cheap to tax. You know, I can't say the same for my 60 because, like I say, I haven't done the water pump on it yet, but I'm still not, don't know if I need to do that. But this car, on the other hand, is a completely different car. It drives completely different, you know, just going around the corners, as you'll see here. You know, it just throws it around the corners. This is what M Sport suspension has to offer, as you see there. You could just fly it around the corners with no hassle, and it just goes around the corners perfectly. You know, and that's the way any car should be handled. And this has got the MV2s on it, you know, and it properly sticks to the road no matter what the speed you're doing. As you'll see there, it sticks to the road properly. There's no vibration in the brakes because we sorted that out, which was a problem. One of the drop links, I did do that on this car as well. You know, it just goes. The car goes properly. It is an absolute perfect car. And it's a dream to drive this car. But as I say, I do love my E60. Obviously, it's not so specced up like the E60. It's very old-time classic, you know, but that's what makes this a classic, because it don't have the electrical problems like most of the E60s do, and the E63s and the E65s. This is what makes this car a perfect example of a classic car, and it always will be. And it's a nice car to drive. Like I say, bearing in mind all the work I've done, this car will go on for another 100, 150k with no issues. And you know, because it's got me as an owner, whatever it needs, I can do. So it's not, and my missus loves it, you know. She never used to like this shape. I used to tell her how good it was, this, but now she likes it, you know. And that's what happens with people with BMW. They look at the body and think, oh, yuck, ugly. You know, girls like hatchback cars. that's just a normal woman. Especially in the UK, they only like hatchback cars. That's why my missus wanted the 1 Series, because it was hatchback. But I said to her, drive this car, she'll like it. And what she does is small, it's easy to park, it's practical for a woman. You know, women can't drive E39, E60, it's too big for them to park. This car is practical, it's small, it's reliable, it's cheap. You know, everything, it ain't gonna get all side-swiped like you saw with the E61, where women have been driving it. It had been side-swiped everywhere. Please factor in, if you're looking to buy one, what this car has to offer. Do not put this car off, and don't look at it and think, oh, it's not new enough, because this car has a lot to offer, you know. And you got to think of what's really affordable for you. Can you afford the parts on an E60? Can you, have you got knowledge of dealing with modules like that car? If you ain't, don't get an E60 or anything newer. Stay with E46 and E39. So guys, I hope you just enjoyed the video of me taking you out in E46. As you see here, this is the car we've just driven, and look at it, it's still idling perfectly and ticking over very nicely, even after me blasting it and everything. And this is why I say to you, these cars are super reliable. You know, these cars are better on fuel than even my E60, and you wouldn't believe that engine's meant to run hotter for emissions and to give more fuel miles, but it actually don't. This car is actually more economical, and this car is actually more cheaper to run than my E60 itself. So if I was anyone and you were looking for a BM and looking for something cheap and practical to run, but you want a nice car, cheap to repair and easy to fix, I would go for the E46 all day long, because it's cheap, it's economical, it's easy to repair. You know, if you don't have the skills but you have mechanical knowledge of modules and you're not that advanced with it, stick with this car, because this car only requires mechanical knowledge. E60 requires you to be very illiterate of a computer and programming and updating and modules and module whereabouts, and you know, most networks and fiber optics and CAN lines, PT cans. There's a lot of different networks on the E60, which is very hard. Hence why you've seen the 535 diesel I got has got the central electronics failure. It got brung to me because no garage could do it. I have now solved the problem, and we're going to be bringing that up in another video. But as you see guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the test drive. This is BMW Doctor here. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.